Hello students, welcome to EPG Pathsala. I am Bala Lakhendra from Banaras Hindu University. Today in this module, we are going to talk on the mythology, women and media. This module aims to explain the trends and features of uses of media in the portrayal of women as stated and categorized in mythology. This module shall demonstrate to us how the traditional culture of India has helped in shaping the present milieu around women in our country and what crucial role the media has played in it. After going through it, you shall be able to describe the nature of linkage of the characterization of women in Indian mythology with the forms of media and that has been used to communicate these images among the societies. State the nature of interrelationship among various women studies made in reference to mythology in context of media selection and propagation. Explain the role of various media in image making of women since ancient times and its impact on general psyche of masses, and gauge the status of women of ancient times with the status of women of modern times and how the various channels of media has worked towards it. Women have always found a prominent place in history, society, culture and development of our land. Our ancient scriptures and texts are full of vivid feministic descriptions and references to female of their times. These legends show the rare and complex mix of qualities of sensibility, sensitivity, sensuality, and strength in their life stories and how they try to become role models to people and communities by display of just attitudes and superior moral character. The Hindu mythology is full of such references of female deities and protagonists who show us the ideal pathways to social and moral code of conduct to be followed in different times or controversial situations. In Indian mythology, we have numerous such examples of valiant ladies who were righteous, assertive, and heroic in their endeavors. In this module, we have tried to find out various stories that projected women in central roles and the images that societies have drawn of them. We have also tried to find out the pattern in the uses of various means of communications, which is known as media, transmitting these images into general conscience of masses. In order to understand the place of women in mythology and their depiction through various forms of media, we first need to understand the meaning and nature of these three terms, in addition to the interrelationship among the unique realm of mythology, women, and media. First, we should understand the meaning and definition of mythology. The word myth comes from the Greek word mythos, which originally meant speech or discourse, but later came to mean fable or legend. Myth is a story that takes place in an imagined, remote, and timeless past. Mythology is a body of narratives, stories, or myths pertaining to the people, addressing the issues of their origin, history, deities, ancestors, and heroes associated to the particular event, person, institution, or culture. It is a set of traditions or beliefs that occurred over time among people from a particular community or region. They may exist in text, religious practices, tell tales, or even in folklores. Mythology is a study of myths, tales that are not sufficiently supported by tangible evidences. Now we will understand the meaning of women. Women is an adult human being as different from a girl or a man, biologically capable of bearing offspring. It is a standard parallel and opposite to man. They constitute almost half of the world population. Terms female, lady, and women are mostly used interchangeably, while the women studies is a discipline of study that talks of gender parity and empowerment. The word media is the plural of medium, which comes from the Latin word medius, meaning the middle. Media means means of communication. They are the communication channels through which news, education, entertainment, data, promotional messages are disseminated. Media includes every broadcasting or narrowcasting medium like newspapers, magazines, television, radio, billboards, direct mails, telephone, fax, internet, etc. Nature of interrelationship between the three realms of mythology, women and media in India, so we can talk like this. The unique realms of mythology, women and media are somewhat interrelated and interdependent also. It can be understood by the fact that media transmits the legends of mythology while mythology carries the legends of women. So it is through the various channels of media that the stories related to women characters are communicated in societies. Here in this module, we will mainly focus on the Indian mythology with a special reference to Vedic mythology and its female legends. If we talk about the status of women in ancient India, we will see the women in ancient India held a respectable position. It is evident from historical remains and texts that they enjoyed rights and privileges almost as par with men. Generally, the period from 3000 BC to 750 AD is considered as the ancient period in the Indian chronology of history, which is broadly divided into pre-Vedic, which is 3000 BC to 1500 BC, Vedic period, which is 1500 BC to 600 BC, and post-Vedic period, which is 600 BC to 750 AD era. Not many texts and relics from pre-Vedic era have survived to date, so the understanding of the practices of that era is still incomplete. However, other archaeological remains and artifacts in form of monuments, seals, figurines, etc., excavated at various Paleolithic and Neolithic sites tell us about the status of women of those times. During Harappa or Indus Valley civilization, women held positions of honor because their participation was found necessary in the production process. Indus Valley civilization was matriarchal in nature and women were regarded higher in position and were treated better. The traits of Phalu's worship, along with the hues, finds of mother fingers and feminine motif seals, suggest that females and fertility were worshipped as source of power in those times. The bronze sculpture of a dancing girl found at Mohenjo-daro suggests that music and dance were the art predominantly associated with females. During the Vedic period, women took part in the intellectual life of the society. They devoted their time in learning Vedic technology and philosophy till they got married. They were initiated into Vedic studies after their Upanayan. For example, Devi Sita was described as offering Sandhya prayer, ritual prayer which were offered with mantras at specific times of the day. Women were classified as Brahmabadini and Sadhyavadhu in ancient Vedic times. A Brahmabadini was a woman who studied the Vedas after the Yajnopavit Sanskar and got married later or stayed a bachelor in future pursued the Vedic knowledge. A Sadhyavadhu was a woman who got married immediately after her sacred thread ceremony. This had been mentioned in several texts like Madhav Sanhita or Prasaram Sanhita. This has been mentioned in several texts like Madhav Sanhita, on Parasar Smriti, Harita Dharma Sutra, etc. In Vedas, there is not a single reference which denies women the rights to study Vedic knowledge, to Yajnopavit Sanskar or Gayatri Upanishad. There are many Veda hymns attributed to Rishika. In Rig Veda alone, there are around 30 women Vedic scholars whom different hymns have been attributed to. Post marriage, both husband and wife took equal part in the sacrificial rites. Women were not considered an obstacle in the path of religion, and her presence and cooperation was treated absolutely necessary in many religious rites and ceremonies. Women also frequently associated themselves with village councils or folk assemblies like Sabha and Vidat, participating freely in its deliberations. The participation of women in productive activities such as agriculture, animal rearing, trade, manufacture of clothes, weapons, potteries depicts the socio-economic freedom and equal status accorded to them. In the Vedic age, girls were normally married after puberty. The couples were the joint owner of the household as well as the property. The joint possession secured women numerous rights and privileges. It gave them an absolute right to maintenance against the husband. The Vedic literature and the Dharma Sutra allowed remarriage rights to widows. The Vedic literature and the Dharma Sutra allowed remarriage rights to widows. The discussions on the question of widow remarriage and upholding the rights of widows in their husband's property are further proofs that the sati system was not prevalent in the Vedic period. Only stray references to sati occurs in Mahabharata. According to the epic, 4 wives of Vasudeva and 5 wives of Krishna committed sati by Satyabhama. Another wife of Krishna retired to the forest. Similarly, Madhuri, the second wife of Pandu, committed sati but not Kunti. There is also a reference to the practice of niyoga in the Vedic period. However, things started deteriorating in later Vedic period. By the beginning of 500 BC, Upanayan came to be discouraged to the girls. With the increasing complexity in societies and religions, many shackles were put on women. They were further pushed below from their status at par with passage of time. Even the downfall of Brahmanism on account of excessive rituals and rise of liberal Shramana movement along with newer order of Jainism and Buddhism could not help improve the situation of females. Rather, the Jatkar themselves said, of all the snares of the senses which ignorance sets before the unway, the most insidious, the most dangerous, and the most attractive is a woman. In fact, while founding the principles of monastic life, even Lord Buddha was found hesitant towards entry of nuns in the Sangha. The want of sympathy by Buddhism towards women was mostly based on the belief that a woman is much nearer to the world than the men. Subsequently, there was greater erosion in status and position of women during the medieval and modern periods. Higher education was not permissible to girls. They were rather given training in fine arts like music, dancing, and painting from early times that were recognized as feminine accomplishment. Initially of Ganikas or the courtiers and Nach girls held a recognized place in the social life during Maurya and Gupta Empire of North and Chalukya, Pallava and Chola's Empire of South of India, as they were proficient in fine arts like music and dance. They were even honored by village assemblies for their public benefication. But in course of time, they got looked down upon when the dancing girls attached to temples fell into immorality and female prostitution became prevalent in the society. In Indian mythology, women are characterized as entities largely driven by emotions. They are capable of taking rational decisions as well as good or bad actions in tandem with their intentions, aspirations, or goals. Women are often described as a human embodiment of love and affection as well as will and strength and are considered equal to men in many aspects. In divine forms, females are mostly treated as Bhambhagi or half body or counterparts to males. Ardhanarishwar image of Shiva and Shakti is the illustration of that the same. Actually, the iconographies used their portrayal help people establishing their divine character as the nature's feminist deities or goddesses in Hindu mythology. They were mainly the human values and virtues personified for the goddess Parvati, goddess Lakshmi, and goddess Saraswati. However, later we are told that in the Anushasan Parv of the epic Mahabharata, Yudhishthir prayed to Bhisma to enlighten him regarding the nature of women, who in turn agreed to the statement that women is the root of all evils and is narrow-minded. She is not endowed with strength or will enough to resist temptation. She always needs protection by men. But elsewhere in the same epic Mahabharata, we found Bhisma extolling women that they should always be adored and treated with love. For where women are treated with honor, gods reside. Where women are not adored, all acts become fruitless. If the women of a family, on account of treatment they receive, indulge in grief and tears, that family soon become extinct. Those homes which are cursed by women meet with destruction. Their splendor, growth, and prosperity ceases. This contradiction in Mahabharata shows society's lack of confidence in the nature of women. Females in mythology have been generally accorded the status of deities, like goddesses. Goddesses are portrayed as a feminine embodiment of significant qualities and powers. The iconography used in their depiction is open to many interpretations. Various forms of media have been used from the immemorial of portray and propagate these images of female protagonists. Written form of media had been used since ancient times to portray the characters and images of women. During the Vedic times, numerous scriptures, religious treatises, books, texts, commentaries were drafted, composed, and compiled that mentioned several natures, deities like Gayatri, Aditi, Savitri, Prithvi, Ganga, Yamuna, Saraswati, as well as Rishikas like Gargi, Maitri, Apala, Ghosa, etc. Meanwhile, the author Stephen Knapp illustrated in his famous essay Women in Vedic Culture and the Norms of Vedic Society that were followed for women. Here a couple of translated couplets from this essay is elaborated. Women must be honored and adorned by their father, brother, husband, and brother-in-laws who desire their own welfare. Where women are honored, there the gods are pleased. But where they are not honored, no sacred right yield rewards. Whether the female relations live in grief, the family soon wholly perishes, but that family where they are not unhappy ever prosper. The houses on which female retains, not being duly honored, pronounce a curse, perish completely as if destroyed by magic. Hence, men who seek welfare should always honor women on holidays and festivals with ornaments, clothes, and food. Grandfather Bhisma explained, O ruler of earth, saying to Yudhishthira, the lineage in which daughters and the daughters-in-laws are saddened by ill treatment, that lineage is destroyed. When out of their grief these women curse these households, such households lose their charm, prosperity, and happiness. Furthermore, in the Vedas, when a woman is invited into the family through marriage, she enters as a river enters the sea, and to rule there along with her husband as a queen over the other members of the family. The kind of equality is rarely found in any other religious scriptures, plus a woman who is devoted to God is more highly rewarded than a man who has no such devotion as found in the Rig Veda. Yea, many a woman is more firm and better than the man who turns away from gods and offers not. In fact, in early Vedic civilization, women are always encouraged to pursue spiritual advancement without hindrance. O bride, may the knowledge of Vedas be in front of you and behind you, in your center and in your end. May you conduct your life after attaining the knowledge of Vedas. May you be benevolent, the harbinger of good fortune and health. and live in great dignity and indeed the illumined in your husband's home. Bhishma Pitama also said, the teacher who teaches true knowledge is more important than 10 instructors. The father is more important than 10 such teachers of true knowledge, and the mother is more important than 10 such fathers. There is no great guru than a mother. Female characters appeared in lead role in plays and epic poems like Kalidas, Avigyan Shakuntalam, Vikramavasyam, Malivikagnimithram of 5th century BC. The 8th century poet Bhavbhuti describes in his play Uttaram Charitra how the character Aitreyi travelled to southern India where she studied the Vedas and Indian philosophy. In the Sankradig Vijay, written by Madhav Sankar, debates with the female philosopher Udaya Bharati, and in verses 963 it is mentioned that she is well versed in the Vedas. In India, temple architectures have innumerable examples of feminine portrayal. Images of Yakshinis, Apsaras, goddesses, demigoddesses have been painted or sculpted all over the walls of temple complexes, while female deities have been mostly planted with their male consorts in sanctum sanctorum of the temple. In the Khajuraho temple, Chalukya period, female are amorously portrayed all over the temple walls or pillars as a symbol of love and passion. Moreover, the 108 Shakti Pithas are exclusively dedicated to female deities Shakti. Some of notable temples are Devi Vaishnoshree at Katra, Kamakhya at Guwahati, Dakshineshwar and Kalighat at Calcutta, Kusmanda Durga Mandir at Varanasi, Vindhyachal Devi Mandir at Mirzapur, Devi Sharda at Maihar Satna, and many more. Many books and magazines of the present era contain references and explanations to divine characters and Vedic icons. Even the special weekly issues of newspaper publish stories of such women in their spirituality and mythology. Corner regularly. Many authors have published books or novels on such feminist themes or deities. The modern mythologists like the author Devadut Patnaik too wrote about these female legends in his book like Seven Secrets of Shiva, Seven Secrets of Vishnu, Myths Mithya, a Hindu book of Hindu mythology, Sita, an illustrated retelling of Ramayana, Jaya, an illustrated retelling of Mahabharata, Devi the mother goddesses, Seven Secrets of the Goddesses. Even the guide maps, comic books for children and illustrated books displayed the contents related to women in mythology, in print media and propagated about divine and feminine establishment. In various advertisements too, the religious sentiments were evoked by depiction of these deities and motherly figures to garner consumers' attention and evoke positive response. Newspapers and magazines are full of such product advertisement that are aimed at soliciting positive response from buyers. Even the calendars, art form, getting cards, outdoor billboards, signboards or flexes are also used for female deities to draw attention of the people. Publication of magazines like Akhand Jyoti from Gayatri Parivar, Gyan Amrit and World Renewable from Iswariya Vishwavidyalaya of Brahma Kumari and Kalyan of Gita Press, as well as renowned journals from various institutions like Asiatic Society, Theosophical Society, also helped in propagation of female ideologies. Television and radio programs along with cinema have also contributed in propagation of these female legends. Many movies were made in India depicting goddesses from mythology. Many serials too showed such female in leading roles, while radio channels broadcast their stories to communicate. TV serials like B.R. Chopra's Mahabharat as well as Mahabharat made in 2013 on Star Plus channel were deemed to be big hit, just like Ramanand Sagar's Ramayana of 1987 and Shri Krishna of 1993. TV series Dheeraj Kumar's Om Namah Shivaya of 1997 aired on Doordarshan National, and Devon Ke Dev Mahadev in 2012 aired on Channel Life OK. Serials on goddess included Sagar Arts Jai Mahalakshmi produced in 2000, Jai Ganga Maiya of 2003, Jai Ma Durga of 2007, Jai Jag Janani Ma Durga of 2012 are few of the examples. Animated motion pictures based on stories of Ramayana and Mahabharata also garnered attention, especially a little children. These cartoon movie and TV serials too had a reference of female legends from mythology. Impact of such mass media propagation on common people. Mythology has always been open to doubt, analysis, and interpretations. As discussed above, we find that propagation of legends of women protagonists of mythology by mass media helped in driving moral and social lessons home. Additionally, we found that with the change in time, societal standards and traditions change, and so do the expectations from women. Earlier, women were respected. Later, people started taking women for granted. Religions too started interfering into ordinary or personal matters of people, like appropriate dressing attire for women, time and place of their social interaction and organization, social as well as religious norms to be followed by them in family or community lives, as well as various other issues affecting women and their position in society. In many countries, these religious teachings also influence the criminal, personal, and family laws of those countries. Common masses tend to forget that women's dharma can even be in conflict with her social position as a woman. The dharma of a married woman is defined as the dedication and commitment to the part of woman to her husband, the ideal role women in Sita of Ramayana. Sita, being the idolized wife, rejected her own comfort to enforce her husband's dharma, his assigned duties. The story of Sita is also a message that any sexual conduct outside in established terms is a threat to the honor of the male family members and patriarchal agenda. Such propositions tattered the logical thinking of men, and they started expecting unrealistic goals of idealism from women in daily life as well. Men tried to control women like an object or machine and forgot giving due respect or consideration to her likes and dislikes in the matter of her physical, mental, and emotional necessities, desires, and ambitions. Only in recent past this situation improved a little, with men getting a chance to know and think about the plights of women and women getting some freedom in realizing their full potential by the means of the modern education. We should talk something about women in traditions and versus women of today in India. Throughout the history of India and the traditions of Vedic society, women are exemplified as upholders of basic principles of Sanatan Dharma. Veneration of women has been found in Vedic culture. Unfortunately, these standards declined primarily due to the outside influences that have crept in because of foreign invasions, either military or culturally. These foreign invaders who dominated India mostly looked at women as objects or sexual enjoyment and exploitation, and as the spoils of war to be taken as prize. So when the foreigners gained influence, decay of the spiritual standards also crept into India and Vedic culture. The educational criteria of Vedic culture also changed, and the teaching of the divinity of marriage and motherhood was almost lost. The teaching changed from emphasis on the development of individual self-reliance to dependence or the service to others, and gradually women were viewed as less divine and more as objects of gratification or property to be possessed and controlled or even exploited. The oppression of women increased in India because of foreign rule in later ancient, medieval, and early modern period. Even today, we find modern women not being better off than ancient women. Several crimes against women can be noted in the modern society. Female feticide, discrimination and exploitation on gender basis in family and at workplace, child abuse, female trafficking, prostitution, bonded labor, dowry, honor killing, domestic violence, glass ceiling, sexual harassment, rape, etc. are just a few heinous acts perpetrated on females on all ages, at all levels and strata of the society. Even stringent laws and constitutional provisions have not proved sufficient in getting them respectable position in society. Instead, changes in mindset of people are required at large. People should allow girls to live with honor in their society and should give them due respect and protection. Given the opportunity to reach their real potential in life, women can work hand in hand with men and cooperate with them exceedingly. Hence, we agree to the fact that both in martial and spiritual domains, men and women are equal, as sons and daughters of the same Supreme Father. When the position of women declines, society too loses its equilibrium and harmony. So students, let us now summarize what we have learned in this module. In this module, we got to know and understand the nature of mythology, women and media, and their interrelationship regarding how media transmits the legends of mythology while mythology carries the legends of women. We also studied about the stature and status of women in ancient India during pre-Vedic, Vedic and post-Vedic era. Also, by the way of several mythological stories, we got to understand the message developed and propagated in society in the characterization of Vedic females. Various media platforms and channels have been used for ensuring proper portrayal of female mythical characters. These legendary women have been depicted in ancient scriptures and literary texts like Vedas, Brahmanas, Upanishads, as well as in epics like Ramayana, Mahabharata, etc. Even several commentaries, books, poems, dramas have been composed by several authors. Women legends have also been depicted in the form of colorful pillars or wall forces, cave paintings, and in sculptures or temple complexes erected and ancient architectures and monuments. Stories of these female protagonists have been predominantly transmitted into masses from various print media channels like books, magazines, journals, outdoor billboards, etc. Mythological stories and their female leads have been popularized by use of electronic media comprising of television and radio programs. Television serials and movies have played prominent role in mass transmission of these legends and formation of misuse around the female characters. Even online multimedia content is being used successfully these days in order to disseminate the mythological contents by new and alternative media forms. Women characters from mythology have been given voice by performing arts, forms of classical and folk music or dance along with drama. All this has helped common masses in framing certain images of women in their minds and setting off several norms, customs and traditions for them to follow in their respective societies. In fact, there had been enormous impact of such mass media propagation of women characterization on general psyche of common people. When we did a reality check to find out whether women of ancient times were better off than women of today in India, we found that though certain things have improved, but there is a long way to go before women will be able to gain equality in society. Thank you.